What if I told you that surgery, supplements, or prescription drugs aren't the most effective ways to restore male health after the age of 60? But a powder in your kitchen cupboard that you've passed 1,000 times? Yes, baking soda is what I mean. The majority of guys use it to clean their sinks or freshen their refrigerators. Few people, however, are aware of its potential to reduce prostate pressure, promote healthy erections, relieve joint discomfort, refresh the groin, and even bring comfort where it counts most. Each use costs only a few cents. My name is Mohit Cara, MD. I've been employing safe, natural approaches to help men regain their confidence, circulation, and vitality for more than 30 years. During that period, I discovered something that most guys never hear from their physicians. Your body is still eager to work. All it requires is the proper chemistry. The twist that most people don't anticipate is this one. The 7 most prevalent problems that men over 60 encounter can be lessened using the same baking soda you use in the kitchen, particularly those related to energy, inflammation, and sexual wellness. I'll demonstrate how to use baking soda in this video to help with everything from harder erections to prostate relief to irritation and itching that no ointment seems to be able to resolve. And remain with me, because the 5th tip has the potential to permanently alter your perspective on male comfort and hygiene. Before we get started, this is a perfect time to subscribe if you haven't already. Additionally, remember to ring the bell. In this manner, you won't miss another piece of advice on how to make men over 60 feel more powerful, healthy, and in charge. Additionally, if you think this video is helpful, please let me know by leaving a comment with the number 1. Type 0 otherwise. I'm always listening and trying to be of further assistance to you. Okay, let's get started. We'll begin by discussing one of the most prevalent yet subtly annoying problems that guys encounter as they become older, particularly beyond age 60. I'm referring to the persistent itching, dryness, and irritation that simply won't go away around the lower torso, thighs, and groin. You may assume it's a natural aspect of aging. However, there is really a straightforward, all-natural method to experience genuine relief, and it begins with the way that baking soda is used in the bathtub. I'll demonstrate how it operates. 1. Soothes aged, irritated skin, particularly in the groin area. I will always remember the discussion I had with Richard, one of my patients. Although he was 68 years old, in quite excellent health, and still active, he was obviously uncomfortable sitting across from me in my office. He lowered his voice and leaned slightly closer. He said, "Doctor, I know this sounds trivial, but it's making me crazy. My skin down there is itching uncontrollably. It is even terrible at night. I've experimented with lotions, powders, everything. It's embarrassing. My wife and I are becoming less connected as a result of my unclean feeling. Richard is not by himself either. Many men over 60 suffer from dry, sensitive, and irritated skin, particularly in the inner thighs, groin, and area surrounding the base of the penis. It usually starts out slowly, with a little redness here and a little tightness there, until eventually it becomes a nightly ritual. Even though you secretly long for that connection, you start to avoid touch, wake up clawing, and toss and turn. The good news is here, that need not be the case. The baking soda bath is one of the easiest, most calming treatments I've encountered, and my patients keep returning to it. Not ostentatious or costly, yet highly efficient. It has a wonderful effect on aging skin when half a cup of baking soda is added to a warm bath and soaked for 15 to 20 minutes. The acidity on the skin surface is gradually neutralized by the baking soda. This is significant since our skin becomes more sensitive to cleansers, detergents, and even perspiration as we age. Baking soda lowers inflammation, balances pH, and soothes the nerve endings that communicate with your brain when you're itchy or irritated. However, the advantages extend beyond appearances. Soaking in warm water with a straightforward, natural substance has a certain potency, something that is familiar, simple, and pure. This lotion doesn't include a lot of chemicals. This prescription isn't another one. You and the water are alone. And for many guys, that quiet time becomes into a ritual, a return to comfort, a tiny gesture of self-respect that communicates that their body and peace are important. Richard returned to me smiling after only 2 attempts at the bath. He said, "Doctor, I feel good, like myself again, and I slept through the night for the first time in weeks." That's what makes it so beautiful. Regaining that comfort doesn't require a cabinet full of goods. All you need is the appropriate strategy and the courage to try something easy that works. The baking soda bath is particularly beneficial for men with sensitive skin or a history of rashes because it is free of scent, dye, and preservatives. Additionally, bathing the lower body or feet can provide focused alleviation for people who have mobility issues. You'll feel lighter, cleaner, and more comfortable with who you are. And that self-assurance tends to manifest itself in every aspect of your life. This is where things become even more intriguing. Although baking soda has many positive effects on the outside of your body, you might be even more surprised by what it can do on the inside, especially with regard to how your body manages digestion, discomfort, and even pressure in your lower abdomen. We must look beyond the surface to address the second problem that most men encounter after the age of 60. Let's now discuss the consequences of drinking it. 2. Reduces indigestion associated with aging. As we age, our bodies tend to become heavier, deep into the abdomen, not only in the muscles or joints. You may have experienced it as well, that gradual, unpleasant pressure following a meal. An hour after dinner, you feel a burning sensation in your chest. That lethargic, bloated feeling that seems to persist more and more every year. Carl, a 72-year-old former high school coach, was one of my patients. The type of man who always had a story to tell and a firm handshake. His tone had changed recently, though. "Doctor," he said, "I can no longer enjoy food. I get heartburn from everything, even the meals I've consumed throughout my life. My gut seems to have turned against me." Men have also told me versions of Carl's story. You're not imagining it. The stomach slows down with aging. We become more sensitive to rich foods, late-night snacks, and even some medications. And we create less acid and lose tone in the muscles that transport food through our digestive tract. Once pleasurable meals are now uncomfortable. Additionally, many men eventually start to limit themselves excessively, skip meals, or rely on medications that promise immediate comfort but cause other issues. However, there is a forgotten cure. Something easy, organic, and nearly always accessible. Baking soda. Almost immediately, a half teaspoon dissolved in a glass of water can help soothe the scorching feeling. How? Since baking soda is an alkaline material by nature, it reduces the irritation that leads to heartburn, reflux, and that tight, full sensation that makes you dread eating by neutralizing excess acid in the stomach. The finest aspect? It operates quickly. Many men experience the weight lifting, the burning subsiding, and the pressure beginning to lessen within minutes. Additionally, it is free of artificial colors and aluminum, in contrast to conventional antacids. It's old school, clean, and really efficient when used sparingly and sensibly. At first, Carl was dubious. "Do you mean to inform me about baking soda? Really?" I simply requested him to give it a try while grinning. "I had pasta for the first time in months," he added when he returned a week later. "I slept all night long. No medicines, no burning, just the small glass of water you mentioned." Baking soda isn't for everyone, of course, just like any other treatment. Men who have kidney illness, high blood pressure, or are on specific drugs should always see their doctor before using it because it includes sodium. However, it can be a lifesaver when used sometimes, particularly after large meals or when you sense that old fire rising. A straightforward instrument that returns something valuable. The capacity to savor food once more without worrying about the consequences. The psychological liberation this practice provides, rather than merely the bodily alleviation, is what I've discovered to be its most potent aspect. The ability to eat with your partner, have a family meal on holidays, or have a late-night snack without anticipating any discomfort. We tend to underestimate how important that sensation of control is. It serves as a reminder that your body only needs a little assistance and is not broken. However, digestion is just one aspect of the problem. The same baking soda that calms the stomach can also have a subtle but significant impact on something far more intimate, something that impacts your confidence, balance, posture, and yes, even how well you perform in bed. Next, let's discuss the benefits of baking soda for your feet. 3. Supports foot health and odor control. Aging feet can cause a silent form of pain. Though they don't discuss it, most guys sense it. Every night when they eventually sit down, and every morning when they get up. After walking on them for 60 or 70 years, through airports, gym floors, and garden paths, they now hurt, swell, and itch. And occasionally, regardless of the powder you use or how frequently you wash them, they have an odor that makes you feel self-conscious even when no one else is around. I once had a conversation with a 74-year-old retired firefighter named Dennis. Tough as nails, but he appeared irritated when he visited me. He said, "I can't figure it out. My feet are constantly hurting. The epidermis is breaking. Something died in my shoes, judging by the scent. I've tried lotions, sprays, and even prescription medications. It hasn't worked. It's embarrassing." I frequently witness what Dennis was going through. As we age, our skin becomes drier and thinner. Circulation slows down, fungal overgrowth increases, and it becomes more difficult to take adequate care of our feet because many older men have less mobility or flexibility. The outcome? Odor, discomfort, and a feeling that something is off. In this case, baking soda serves as a kind of restorative, as well as a cleaning agent. In addition to softening skin, a foot soak prepared with warm water and a few tablespoons of baking soda has other benefits. It can restore your sense of wholeness. Baking soda's alkaline properties neutralize the germs and acids that produce stink. It reduces irritation, reduces inflammation, and even deters fungal growth. Even just twice a week, soaking your feet in this solution can provide dramatic results. Less flare-ups, less cracking, and a longer-lasting freshness than anything you'll get from store-bought powder. Dennis gave it a shot. I set up a basic regimen for him. 3 times a week, soak his feet for 20 minutes, pat dry, and then add a small amount of baking soda to his shoes overnight. He grinned before I even asked when he came back a month later. He remarked, "I feel like I've got new feet." My wife is actually letting me sit on the couch once more, and there is no longer any sting or smell. However, it's not just about comfort. You may remind yourself that you still deserve to feel good by taking care of your feet, especially with something as natural and soothing as baking soda. That you should be encouraged rather than punished for every action you perform. Furthermore, this type of routine treatment is not only desirable, but also essential for males with diabetes, circulation problems, or balance disorders. Despite being a small gesture, it has a big impact. You stand taller once your foot pain subsides. You go farther on foot. You have more freedom to maneuver. And when you do, another thing begins to shift. The flow of blood becomes easier. Muscles regain their vigor. Intimately, as well as physically, your confidence returns. Because we are drawn away from intimacy by suffering, particularly subtle pain. However, your mind becomes more receptive to connection once the discomfort subsides, even in your feet. Speaking of connection, baking soda also softly but effectively restores dignity and comfort in another area. This time, it's about your mouth, not your muscles or skin. You'll also want to know what comes next if you've ever had mouth discomfort or worn dentures. 4. Freshens dentures and oral appliances. I often consider of the little things when I think about aging with dignity. Things that most folks don't notice, like being able to eat without experiencing any pain, like speaking without being conscious of your breath, like grinning without worrying about something slipping or smelling bad. It's remarkable how important those small moments are when you can no longer rely on them. I recall speaking with a man named Walter. At the age of 79, he had just made the transition to full dentures. "I feel like I've lost a piece of myself, Doc. My mouth no longer feels like mine. And it always smells like something's wrong, regardless of how much I brush or rinse. I'd rather not kiss my wife. I don't even wish to have a close conversation." I understood exactly what he meant. Therefore, his remarks were powerful. Making the switch to dentures or any other oral appliance is more than simply a physical one. It's sentimental. And it's more than simply a bother when discomfort, residue, or odor appear. Your identity is impacted, your assurance, your relationship with those you care about. For this reason, I frequently suggest to my patients something fairly easy. The entire time, Walter had something in his pantry: baking soda. Not the chemical rinses or the foamy tablets. Simply dissolve baking soda in warm water. For mouthguards, partials, or dentures, a teaspoon in a cup of water makes a mild, all-natural soak. Baking soda works softly, in contrast to the majority of commercial cleansers that contain harsh chemicals, unnatural dyes, or overbearing odors. It removes waste, eliminates smells, and destroys microorganisms that can gather in the nooks and crannies of oral equipment. It accomplishes all of this without stinging or leaving a trace. This is particularly crucial for males who suffer from gum sensitivity or dry mouth, both of which are very common after the age of 60. Despite his initial reluctance, Walter tried it. Just one easy soak per day. His entire demeanor changed when I saw him again a few weeks later. He remarked, "Doctor, I feel normal again. I smelt like myself," according to my wife. Talking to people doesn't worry me. Something seems to have been lifted. That has a profoundly empowering quality. Not only is it physically cleaner, but it also gives you back control over your body. You're not only performing maintenance when you may use a natural and efficient cleaning solution for your dentures or equipment. You're taking back command. I still care how I appear in the world, you're saying. This goes beyond aesthetics. Overall health, particularly heart health and inflammatory levels, are closely linked to oral health. The bacteria that accumulates in your mouth does not simply remain there. It moves. It has an impact on your cardiovascular and immune systems, as well as your mood and energy levels. Freshness is only one aspect of maintaining clean dentures. The goal is to safeguard your entire body. Additionally, it just takes a minute. Just 1 tablespoon. Warm water in a cup. A brief period of silence while your device soaks. Your mouth feels like yours again all of a sudden. Clear, at ease, and self-assured. As beneficial as baking soda is for mouth relief, its calming properties can also go deeper, into the joints, where pain frequently makes an unwelcome houseguest appearance. Additionally, you should learn how baking soda can assist relieve the burning, intense pain of gout in your ankle or toe if it has ever woken you up. Next, let's discuss it. 5. May help control flare-ups of gout. There's a specific kind of pain that only a man who's experienced it can really relate to. It doesn't appear gradually. It hits, suddenly, sharp, in the dead of night usually. Your toe, ankle, and possibly even knee throb so violently that they seem to be on fire when you wake up. A bedsheet's weight alone is too much. You make an effort to stand, but the pressure is too much. Gout is that. It's also more prevalent than you might assume for guys over 60. Harold, one of my patients, told me that exact story not long ago. He is 66 years old, a retired plumber, and has been active most of his life. Now, however, gout would stop him in his tracks every few months. He pointed to his foot and remarked, "Doctor, I never imagined something so small could cause this much pain. I am unable to walk. Sleeping is impossible for me. I feel like I'm disintegrating. Uric acid, a waste product that accumulates and crystallizes in the joints of certain men, is the cause of gout. The joint becomes painfully sore, red, and inflamed as a result. Yes, medications can be helpful, and they are often required." Harold, however, was curious about what he could do on his own. Something safe, natural, and something he could reach for without adding to the stack of medications on his kitchen counter. I then introduced him to baking soda, a straightforward organic material that has the unexpected capacity to alter the chemistry of the body. Baking soda may help balance the blood's acidity because it is alkaline. Additionally, it may make the interior milieu less conducive to uric acid accumulation if used appropriately and sparingly. In the early stages of a flare, Harold began by taking just half a teaspoon of baking soda diluted in a glass of water once daily. After a few days, he became aware of a change. The strain subsided. The warmth subsided. He was able to assert himself once more. Now, it didn't make the illness go away. Additionally, I took care to remind him, and I'll remind you now, that this is not a substitute for medical care. However, it provided him with a sense of control, which was priceless. Gout is more than just a footache for a lot of guys. It serves as a continual reminder that their body isn't what it once was, that they're slowing down, and that even seemingly simple joys like grabbing their partner's hand for a slow dance, walking the dog, or ascending stairs now cause them to hesitate. However, something else comes back with the pain when it goes away, even somewhat. Liberty. The ability to move around without flinching. The ability to organize your day without worrying about how well your joints will work. The ability to feel powerful once more. Precautions are usually taken. Sodium is present in baking soda. Additionally, you should consult your doctor before using it on a regular basis if you have kidney problems, high blood pressure, or are following a sodium-restricted diet. However, when taken sparingly and carefully, it turns into a reliable ally for many guys, for the mental boost that comes with knowing you can help yourself, as well as the physical alleviation. "You offered me more than just a cure," Harold subsequently told me. "You helped me rediscover my identity." That is the silent strength of something so basic, and for that reason, I continue to suggest it to guys who are prepared to take a bit more charge of their health. However, the majority of men are unaware of this. Gout can stop you cold, but there's another type of pain that appears even more subtly. And it strikes at the most unexpected moment for most males. Let's discuss how baking soda may assist relieve the stinging, burning feeling that many elderly people experience when they urinate, and how your entire day could be changed by this one tweak. 6. Relieves discomfort in the urinary system. It's one of those issues that most men like to avoid discussing. You don't bring it up with buddies at lunch. Until the pain gets intolerable, you don't even mention it. However, it can persist for weeks at a time. That scorching feeling you get after urinating. The pressure in your lower abdomen that never goes away. That persistent sense that something is amiss. It never feels complete, no matter how many times you go. Additionally, it begins to wear you out mentally as well as physically. It erodes your sense of mastery. I recall a 70-year-old man named George sitting in my office with that expression in his eyes. Weary, irritated, and somewhat ashamed. "It hurts like crazy every time I urinate, Doc," he added. "There is hardly anything there when I do go, even though I feel like I have to go often. Even though I detest discussing it, I'm at my breaking point." Most people are unaware of how common his story is, particularly in older men. That burning, stinging pain can steal your day, whether it's from a mild urinary tract irritation, an aging prostate, or long-term medication use. Naturally, medical attention is crucial when it's severe or protracted. However, many men experience unexpected relief from mild irritation or low-grade inflammation when using something as basic as baking soda. It seems almost too simple. But that's what makes it so beautiful. Urine's acidity can be countered by adding half a teaspoon of baking soda to a glass of water, once or twice a day for a few days. Additionally, the burn usually goes away when the urine's acidity decreases. George tried it out. Like most people, he was initially apprehensive. However, he called my office on the second day. "It's manageable, but it's not gone completely," he said. "I no longer fear going to the restroom." There were repercussions from that minor alteration. He began to doze off all night. During the day, he was busier. Perhaps most significantly, he was less tense and worried about something going wrong in public. When the body no longer demands your attention, you can find a certain kind of peace. When using the restroom doesn't feel like a struggle every time. When the next dose of relief doesn't make you clench, wince, or count down the minutes. Infections cannot be cured by baking soda. Antibiotics are not replaced by it. However, it can provide something that many men desire when the discomfort is mild, sporadic, or brought on by irritation rather than infection. Relief that is instantaneous, pure, and feels natural. It conveys a strong message as well. That you continue to pay attention to your body, that you're continuing to act. You're not dismissing the symptoms or accepting that pain is a natural aspect of aging. Even if it's as easy as adding a pinch of powder to a glass of water, you're taking action. And 7. Naturally treats canker sores. It's incredible how a seemingly insignificant thing can cause such a great deal of pain. Everything changes with a single tiny sore under your tongue, on your cheek, on your gums, or inside your mouth. It hurts to talk. Eating turns into a chore. It feels like fire, even to sip on some warm coffee. It is sufficient to deprive you of comfort, pleasure, and tranquility, but it poses no threat to your life. These tiny sores hurt even more when your mouth is already dry or sensitive, which is a common occurrence as you age. This was brought up by Alan, a man I used to work with, during what was meant to be a joint pain check-in. When I asked him how he was doing, he paused and said, "Honestly, doctor, I can't eat without wincing." He was tough and 71 years old, and he wasn't the kind to complain. "My mouth hurts, and it keeps coming back. Rinsing and brushing don't help." I had witnessed what he was describing numerous times. Canker sores are frequently brought on by immune system changes, stress, or minor oral trauma. Additionally, they tend to appear more frequently and heal more slowly in older men. The issue is that the majority of over-the-counter mouthwashes are extremely painful and provide minimal relief. They contain harsh chemicals, alcohol, and artificial flavorings that only aggravate tissue that is already sensitive. I then made a suggestion that frequently takes people by surprise: baking soda. Use it as a warm rinse rather than a scrub or paste. Twice or 3 times a day, gently swirl a half teaspoon dissolved in a small glass of warm water around the mouth. It sounds easy, perhaps too easy. Alan, however, gave it a shot, and his sore began to get smaller in a matter of days. The pain subsided. By the end of the week, he was smiling and eating without flinching. "I've been able to eat a sandwich for the first time in days," he said. This is the reason it works. Baking soda has mild antiseptic properties and is an alkaline substance. It lessens the mouth's acidity, which exacerbates canker sores. Additionally, it facilitates faster healing by avoiding irritation of the healthy tissues surrounding the sore. It doesn't burn, your gums don't get dry from it, it simply calms. More importantly, though, it restores your basic sense of comfort, because everything feels a little more difficult when your mouth hurts. Talking, laughing, and eating, the ordinary moments that bring you joy, nourishment, and connections with others become smaller. And when relief arrives, you feel like yourself again, in addition to feeling better physically. I've suggested this rinse to numerous elderly men, and they frequently respond in the same way. Thank you. It serves as a reminder that they are capable of taking action, not because it is a miraculous remedy, that they have some power, that the best medication is occasionally already in the cupboard. Calm, comfortable, and strong in its own right. Alan said it best. He explained that it wasn't just the sore that recovered. He informed me. It was my appetite, my mood, and my sense of mastery. And that's the main goal of all these little fixes. Your joints, skin, feet, stomach, or grin are all affected. Reducing discomfort isn't the only goal. It's about taking back your body's comfort, presence, and pride. But this is the more profound reality. Although baking soda is a straightforward process, the insights it imparts are far-reaching. In the last seconds of this video, I want to demonstrate why this unassuming powder may be one of the most underappreciated tools a man may use to age gracefully. Let's make everything work together. 8. Simple Things Silent Power. A Senior's Guide to Calm Recovery. I've worked in medicine for decades, and I've come to the conclusion that stillness is typically the first step toward true healing. Not the new gaudy pill, not the newest medical device. However, you already know something that has always been on the shelf. Baking soda does not work as a magic cure. It won't fix every issue or go back in time. When used properly, however, it can improve your mood in the areas that are most important to you. It can reduce the stress of daily existence via your digestive system, on your skin, in your joints, and even in your most personal aches and pains. Let's take a time to reflect on what we have discovered. You may rest, connect, and feel more at home in your body by taking a simple baking soda bath to relieve dry, itchy, aged skin, especially around the groin. Acid reflux or heartburn can be relieved with a half teaspoon in water, allowing you to resume enjoying meals without fear. A gout flare-up can be less painful with that same pinch, allowing you to walk, move, and live your life without flinching. By relieving pressure, cracking, and stink, a foot bath can bring back a sense of serenity and dignity that extends well beyond your shoes. Baking soda can be used to rinse your dentures or other oral appliances, keeping your mouth clean and fresh without irritating your gums or removing comfort. Urinary discomfort can be relieved with a little daily dose, particularly if you experience the annoying burn or pressure that occurs with aging. Lastly, you can regain your ability to eat, talk, and laugh pain-free by rinsing your mouth with a little solution of baking soda. These minor adjustments add up. Although they may not appear to be life-altering at first, they actually are. Because your mind follows your body as it begins to feel better. You stop anticipating pain. Your sleep is more restful. You move more assuredly. You speak more openly. Without hesitation, you smile. These are not merely health-related results, they're human. And that change, no matter how small, is crucial for a lot of guys over 60. I reflect on the men I've worked with throughout the years, men who entered silently and stoically, refusing to acknowledge the amount of discomfort they were bearing. They gradually returned lighter after doing something as easy as soaking their feet or drinking a glass of baking soda water. Not healed, not a decade younger, but more cozy, more assured, more in the moment. The secret to using the appropriate tools at the right moment is that tools that are inexpensive and simple. Instruments that honor the body rather than overpower it. And for that reason, I continue to suggest baking soda. Not as a ploy, not as a universal remedy, however, as a friend. A simple, organic method to improve your health. It serves as a reminder that your health is still important, that you are worthy of receiving aid, even from the most unlikely sources, that growing older does not equate to surrender. It entails paying more attention, being kinder, making decisions that respect the journey your body has taken you. Don't assume it's a cleaning product the next time you go for that small orange box in your cupboard. Consider the possibility. Be at ease. Look for ways to regain control over the little things that comprise your existence. After a long day, it could be soaking your feet. Perhaps it's relieving the pain of your post-dinner digestion. Perhaps it's finding solace when you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and are unsure if you'll be able to go back to sleep. You have a tool today, whatever it is. One that's easy, one that functions, one that you are free to utilize as you see fit. And sometimes a man only needs that to feel strong once more. I hope you'll pause to consider how minor adjustments might result in genuine comfort if this message struck a chord with you, or if even one of these suggestions provided you with relief. Please feel free to share this with any other male you know who would benefit from a little strength, some relief, or a reminder that his body still matters. Because achieving everything isn't ultimately the goal of mending. It all comes down to intentionally doing what works